So here we are within Wave in our Lawnmowers Inc. business account. And always it brings us to the dashboard when we first log in. But what we're going to do is enter the transactions that I showed you in the Accounting Concepts video. So I'm going to come over here to the menu on the left and click on Accounting, and then Transactions. And you'll see in a minute here that we have not entered any transactions into our Wave account. Wave is getting us started though with this one, which I'm going to go ahead and click on to open it up. And you can see that it brings me over here to the description box. So the first description or the first transaction I'm going to enter is the $1,000 that we borrowed from the bank. So I'm going to type bank loan for the description. Then I need to decide what account that cash got deposited to when I borrowed the $1,000 from the bank. And right now it's saying cash on hand. That account refers to cash in my pocket, cash that I have not yet deposited to my bank account. And I want to show that the $1,000 bank loan went into my bank account. However, I haven't yet created the bank account. I need to do that. And when I click here, you can see that down at the bottom, there's an Add a New Account link. After I click on that, you'll see this dialog box opens, and I'm going to click here in the account type box. So I want to choose cash and bank under assets. And then for the account name, I'm going to enter a specific name for the name of my bank account. And let's just call it the US Bank Savings Account. Let's pretend that's where that $1,000 got deposited to. You'll see for currency, I'm going to leave it on US dollars. But if you own a business in another country outside the US, you can see that you can choose other currencies as well. By the way, the red asterisks mean that you have to enter information into these boxes. However, the account ID and description boxes are optional. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Now you can see that this box populated with the name of the savings account that the $1,000 went into. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave today's date here. That automatically came up. If I had borrowed the money earlier, I could click on the calendar and choose the date that I borrowed the money. Then I'm going to go ahead and leave this on deposit because money was deposited to my savings account. And then finally, I'm going to fill in the $1,000 amount. Now the last step is to categorize or explain where did this $1,000 come from. We did not earn it as revenue, but rather we borrowed the money. So we need to increase our liability account. So I'm going to click on category to categorize where this amount came from. And what I'll do is I'll click here on transfer from bank, credit card, or loan. Then you'll see my only choices here are cash on hand, which that's not what I want. So I need to click on Add a New Account. And the type of account that I'm looking for is a liability account. Because remember, this is money that the business borrowed. So I'm going to click on Loan and Line of Credit. And then I'll go ahead and give this account a very specific name. So let's pretend I borrowed the money from US Bank. I'll go ahead and call this a US Bank loan and then click Save. Now it's still not showing up here, it takes a minute for Wave to recognize it. So I'm going to click on the category box again, come back to transfer, and now here we see the US Bank loan account that we can choose. So finally, now I'm all done, and to save the transaction, I'll simply click on the Save button. And when I do that, you'll see there are 2 rows here in our transactions ledger. So we have the $1,000 bank loan and then $1,000 going into our savings account. Now let's take a look at our financial statements and see how they were affected by this transaction. If we click down here on the left on reports, you can see that our 2 main financial statements are the profit and loss and the balance sheet. Now we haven't made any money yet. Our income statement or profit and loss statement is going to show 0 in revenues, 0 in expenses, and 0 in profit. That's because we haven't earned any revenues, we haven't incurred any expenses. However, if we go back and click on our balance sheet, the balance sheet is the financial statement that shows the company's assets, liabilities, and equity. So it's a representation of the accounting equation. And you can see after this transaction, our business has $1,000 in assets, the cash that was borrowed from the bank, and it also has $1,000 in liability. Equity is 0. And if we want to drill down further, this is just a summary, we can click on details to drill down further. Now we can see that the $1,000 in assets comes from our US Bank savings account, and the $1,000 liability is from our US Bank loan.